Hey there, welcome to Extra Healthy-ish. Hope you're having a splendid new year. This is the Big Sister podcast to Healthy-ish. Both podcasts are from Body+Soul, and this one is aimed to give you that little bit extra in your day for your mind, body and soul. Question for you. Have you tried taking your workout into water? Like doing your daily exercise in the pool? Well, my guest today guarantees you can sweat it up and cool down, of course, sorry, I had to put a pun in there, and get results. Mark Grevelding is a leading US water fitness instructor who joins me via Zoom from Florida, and he's going to convince us, and actually he convinced me when I did the interview, that working out in water is better than on land. Well, better in summer, particularly in summer. Yes, he's very honest about jumping into very cold pools. Mark, well, I should say Happy New Year, and thank you for coming on Extra Healthy-ish. Now, how are you going to stay extra healthy-ish this year in your life?
Oh, geez. So maybe like a resolution or something. I'll be honest with you. My exercise, I'm really happy with. I keep that consistent, but it's my diet that could use a little work. I think one of the goals that I want to do this year is food tracking. I weigh myself every week, and I've been doing that, and I've had a journal to do that for 3 years or so. And I can look back and say, well, why was I 5 pounds lighter back then? What was I doing? But the answer is I don't know, because I don't remember. So my goal is to start tracking like what I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in correspondence with keeping my weight, so that I start understanding what works better for me with my diet.
Yeah.
So that's one of my goals.
Good tip. Yeah, because your body might respond to different foods at different times of the year, and who knows what's going on. Well, good luck with that one. I like that one.
Thank you.
Now, for those who didn't listen to Healthy-ish, can you just quickly recap on what are some of the scientifically backed benefits of taking your workout in water? You've got this fabulous app which has lots of exercises on. It's called Poolfit. But tell us why it is, the benefits of working out in water.
Well, often the benefits that you'll hear touted are, first of all, it's the lessened impact. You're in buoyancy in the pool. You're not in gravity. So when you're standing in chest high water, you're only bearing about 25% of your body weight. Once you get up to the neck, you're bearing 0% of your body weight. You can simply work harder without the fear of hurting yourself or creating aches and pains. That's a huge one. But the other huge one is the water's resistance itself. The water is like a thick substance. It's viscous. So as you're moving in water, we call it submerged resistance. You're working muscles on both sides of the joint. If you perform an arm curl on land, you only get the bicep, but an arm curl in the water, you get the bicep and you get the tricep, because again, there's water in front of you and there's water behind you, there's water above you and there's water below you. And then another one that I'm sure, because it's your summertime, you can relate to this, is we call it the cooling factor. You're cooler in the pool. And that means you can work harder, because once you start getting overheated, you just don't want to work as hard. But in the pool, that doesn't happen. And let's face it, not everyone loves sweating. And the good news is you just don't sweat as much in the pool. Now, you might a little bit. We'd hope you would if you're working hard enough. And then just this other little known one, it's called hydrostatic pressure. There's a compressive force to water. It does help create a better circulatory system where the heart is more efficiently pumping oxygen and nutrients and blood more efficiently to and from the working limbs. One thing it helps is it does help remove lactic acid, which helps prevent post-exercise muscle soreness.
Yeah, oh well, you've sold it to me there, especially the cooling bit when it's an average of about 35 in Australia, in the capital cities right now.
Sure.
35 Celsius, that is. I know that's different for you over there in the US, but I think that it's funny. You think exercising in water is for older people, those in rehab or recovery, but when you get into your app, you realize, well, no, it's also useful to get your heart rate up. So why should, HIIT lovers and people who love just going all out at the gym or outside jump in the pool?
Well, as a person who's taught aquatic fitness for 20 years, and, I can speak for all aquatic fitness professionals. It's very frustrating for us to have to deal with this stigma. I think just when you go way back, it just was just identified as an older person exercise. It was taught that way. We had instructors who taught it that way, but it's not that way anymore. It's totally different. Like within Poolfit and with classes all around you there in Australia, you do Tabata, you do HIIT, you do kickboxing, you do muscle conditioning. And again, you ask, why would you do that? Well, the reason is you can simply work harder in the pool. You can jump higher. Would you want to sit there and do big plyometric jumps on land and risk coming down and hurting your knee?
No, thanks.
But you do that in the water. And it's when you're in the water, you're in buoyancy. So you could do really cool acrobatic suspended, we call them water specific moves. Aren't you glad you came to the pool today? You can do this cool stuff where you can bring your body completely up off the pool floor and do these contorted acrobatic type moves that really are good for the core.
And sound fun.
Yeah, and they are fun. So you work harder, you have fun, and there's no difference between the level of how hard you can work and calories burned between land and water.
Can you actually build muscle and tone up when working out in water?
Well, you can, and I think there's an advantage in water because of that viscous nature of water, the viscosity. You do have an advantage. So, but I think as any fitness professional would have to clarify, you're really improving in group fitness, whether it's land or whether it's water, you're really improving muscle endurance because in group fitness classes, we don't simply load ourselves with enough weight to create muscle hypertrophy or growth. That has to, as you can imagine, that's why we have gyms. That's why we have free weights. That's why we have resistance machines. So you can effortlessly put that up 10 more pounds with a pin. So yes, you can absolutely tone and build muscle endurance in the pool. But in all honesty, I would recommend to anyone, you still should think about cross-training in like a gym with machines or free weights a couple days a week.
Yeah. Do you have weights that you add into your workouts, pool weights as well?
Absolutely, we do. In fact, that's getting more prevalent. I mean, the equipment that they're producing for the pool now is really just amazing. We've always had the foam dumbbells. That's standard. They are completely different. When you do weights on land, you're working against the downward force of gravity. In the pool with foam, you're working against the upward force of buoyancy. So it's different muscle groups. We have noodles that you can use for resistance. We have the webbed swim gloves that you put on that just simply
Yes. Yeah.
They just make it harder. They just make your moves. They just give you more resistance. There's bigger drag resisted equipment called Aqua. I think they're actually out of New Zealand. That is becoming really popular. So yes, there is equipment you can use to increase the natural drag resistance of the water.
We'll be back after this short break with more from Mark. I feel like your endurance would get a bit of a workout too, both your mental endurance and your physical endurance, because to keep going in the water, you're constantly pushing against a force. So gets a good test, right? Yes,
you're absolutely right about that. Your stamina very, very much increases because in the water with muscle, you're working against that resistance of the water. So you're basically able to improve muscular endurance and cardiorespiratory endurance more effectively in the water because of that resistance than you would in a studio where there's just air and there's no resistance without other equipment in your hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you have 120 water workouts for people of all different ages, demographics and fitness levels on Poolfit. Which one? Is there a particular one that is extremely popular, and why do you think this is?
Well, I always kind of look and see what gets the most spin on social media and on the YouTube channel. And clearly the HIIT and Tabata ones always get the most spin. Everybody likes to work hard. And that includes older adults. I have a lot of 60 plus people who just can't get enough of Tabata and HIIT. Who are subscribers. They just love those harder workouts like the kickboxing and all that. But I have to tell you, one thing that surprised me when I started working more with the consumer audience with the Poolfit app, the deep water workouts are immensely popular. And I found out there's a good reason for that. Most of the in-home, in-ground pools built, I don't know about Australia, but here in the USA, especially the older ones, tend to have a very shallow area and then a big slope.
Same here. Same here.
So you don't have a lot of usable shallow water space. You're up to your, there's nothing to do in the shallow end. So deep water workouts, because there's so much more of that space in the in-ground pools, are hugely popular on the app. So I make sure a lot of those get produced.
Now, I saw a yoga workout. How do you do yoga in a pool?
Well, when you think of doing yoga in a studio, many of the poses and postures are done from a standing position. So that wouldn't impact you. When you're in shallow water, you could perform those same postures and poses. The good news is you can go deeper into the posture because of the water support. You're not afraid of falling on your face like you would in gravity. In the studio, you go further into poses because you're not going to fall and hurt yourself. And then if you do supine or some of the seated type yoga postures, all you need behind you is like a pool noodle. So you rest that pool noodle and you're lowering your mid to lower back, and that puts you in that modified supine position for you to be able to do those poses on.
I like that. Oh, I might give that one a go. Thank you. Now, just quickly, how did you get into this whole aqua fitness? I mean, after I did a bit of research on you, it seems you're a bit of a guru in the States in this area.
Well, I started my fitness career in 1995, and I was just a group fitness instructor teaching step and resistable and kickboxing.
Lovely step.
We did back then.
I love step.
And I did a personal trainer. Yeah. So in 2000, the director at one of the facilities I was teaching at saw me teaching kickboxing in the studio. Remember when Taibo was really big?
Yes.
And they were like, they were starting to bring that to the pool. So she asked if I would consider teaching that in the pool. And to be honest with her, I'm like, well, I haven't been in the pool since the 4th grade picnic, but I can try. She's like, you don't have to get in. You just teach from deck. And I go, oh, cool. Okay, I'll do that. So I started teaching, and within a couple of years, this kickboxing, Aqua kickboxing thing was a thing. So I started teaching workshops to instructors. And then the Aquatic Exercise Association, which is the big certifying body here in the States and one of the world's largest resources for aquatic fitness, brought me on as one of their trainers in 2005. And so I started traveling all around domestically and internationally, training and certifying instructors. And so that's kind of how I got into this field. So
do you work out in the pool? What does your weekly workout regime look like? Are you on your Poolfit app?
I do, but even here in Florida in the winter, it gets a little chilly. And right now, one thing that I could tell you that I'm a stickler about is that I always follow the recommended guidelines. I get in 30 minutes of cardio every day, and I get in 30 minutes of weight training just about every day. Once in a while, I'll take a day off. I just like to. I like to have it. I like to do it. So, but when I'm heavily rehearsing workouts, when I'm on the docket to film videos and stuff, I'm in that pool once or twice a day. So I'll let that count as my workout because I'm getting in a really, really good workout. So I try to vary it, but right now, in all honesty, when it's in the 60s, even though my pool is heated, I'm kind of like, yeah.
Do you know what? This is lovely and reassuring to hear this, that even you struggle to jump in water when it's cold.
I'm the biggest baby in the world with cold. I just don't want to get in. I don't want to get in. Yeah.
Well, what is your advice about getting in? I mean, often one of the hurdles about jumping in doing water workouts is actually getting in the pool in the first place. What's your advice?
Yeah, well,
I mean, obviously not just jumping.
Microphone near me when I get in the pool because I make a lot of noise. And you have to bust a move. You have to immediately start, teaching aquatic fitness all those years. Before I get the music started and get the class started, they'd all be hugging themselves. Oh, I'm so cold. I'm like, well, move. Start moving. Don't look at me and complain that you're cold. You got to start moving. And that's my advice when you get in the pool. Don't just sit there on your tippy toes hugging yourself. You got to start moving and get those shoulders under quickly.
Yes, just jump in. I think I just do, now I try and get in the pool. I just do a big bomb to impress my children. I'm like, okay, just get in, just do it.
That works too.
Yeah. Mark, thank you so much for coming on Extra Healthy-ish. Congratulations on Poolfit. Great app. And all the best with that Florida winter.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I only wish, dear listeners, you could have seen Mark on Zoom. He was so passionate about working out in the pool, and it actually made me just want to go outside and jump in a pool, anywhere, any pool, and give working out in water a go. But anyway, go on, you try it. If you want more about Mark's app called Poolfit, I will leave links to that in the show notes. If you want more from us at Healthyish, we have plenty more episodes of Extra Healthyish and Healthyish, our little sister podcast. You can also join the conversation via Body & Soul on Instagram or Facebook. Thanks again for tuning in, and if you have a moment, we'd be so grateful if you could rate, review and subscribe to this podcast. And until tomorrow, stay extra healthy-ish.